This is the Roots and All podcast, here to help you get growing. Join us as we explore everything plant-related, both indoors and out, and provide the information you need to create your perfect green environment. Presented by Sarah Wilson.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Roots and All podcast. This podcast is about growing plants, be that outdoor, indoor or food plants, and I'm hoping you'll find at least something that interests you. The first episode covers a subject that is dear to my heart, simply because I love these plants so much. This episode we are talking about dahlias. First up, I'll be chatting with Emma Page, a horticulturist and garden designer who is based in East Sussex. Emma forms one half of the design partnership Nature Redesigned, who, amongst their many accomplishments, designed the gold medal winning Potter's Garden at the RHS Chelsea Flower Show in 2015. Her design work is informed by the practical experience she gains in her own extensive garden, and I spoke to her to get her take on growing dahlias. Hello, Emma, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, pleasure.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you, you obviously have a beautiful big garden here, and you decided to leave your dahlias in the ground for a few years running.
That's right, yes I did.
I just wondered, that does kind of run contrary to popular advice. What was it that made you decide to try doing that?
Well, I have tried them in the garden in the borders before without success. I'm actually quite lazy, and that was the reason behind it, because the first year I tried dahlias, I lifted them, dried them out, put them away in the shed in a box and forgot about them. And frankly, life's too short for that sort of thing. So I looked at other ways of doing it, and because I'm lucky enough to have raised beds, and so that's quite a controlled environment. So that's what I did, and I tried it out, and kept them going for over 6 years, actually.
Wow. And you lost them one winter?
Yes, it was a particularly wet winter.
Wet, okay.
Wet and soggy, and even the raised beds were absolutely sodden.
Probably the wet rather than the cold that finished them off. Okay. Yeah. So what's the depth of soil in your beds?
It's about 18 inches. It's topsoil and compost mix was originally put in, and they get topped up with manure and compost every winter.
And do they just drain into the ground below that?
Yeah, they're actually on an old tennis court, which has never been used in anger for tennis, so it's been put to better use. We cangered holes in the base through the tarmac to get drainage out through. So
potentially it should have been a good training environment. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And did you find that they bulked up in size over the 6 years?
Not particularly, in all honesty. No, I think they stayed fairly well put, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, are you growing dahlias this year?
Well, as I knew you were going to be talking to me about this, I got the catalogue out the other day and started to have a look. I haven't for the last couple of years, but I have got my eye on a few for this year.
Oh, okay.
And we've just specified a new one, Honker Fragile, for a client, which looks very pretty.
Okay. And what colour is that?
That's a star-shaped one, white with pink tinge to it. Looks beautiful.
Nice.
But she's got lovely friable soil, the perfect gardener's soil. So
okay. And you'll be recommending that she leaves those put rather than lifting them?
She wants a low maintenance garden, as many clients do.
I do shy away from putting them in clients' gardens unless I'm responsible for the maintenance because they're not as straightforward as a standard perennial. There is work involved with them.
No.
Actually, one of my customers texted me the other day and said, "Oh, help, my dahlia tubers have arrived. What do I do with them?" I mean, you could buy them mail order and they'll arrive in the post, or you could go to the shop and buy them, in which case they'll probably be in a packet. So what do you do with them when you get them home?
Well, I think the main thing is not to put them in a corner and forget about them, because they'll soon rot off if they're in plastic bags. Yeah. We've all done it. So
we have.
Don't beat yourself up if that's you as well. But I would unpack as soon as possible, and I would pop them up straight away into 3 or 5 litre pots.
Oh, okay. And then keep them where?
In the greenhouse, or if it's pretty warm, actually just outside the greenhouse in a sheltered spot.
Yeah.
So just to give them a head start before they go in the ground. But also, if you're putting them in amongst other things that have gone dormant, you don't want to start digging up old dahlias by putting new tubers straight in. So
that's very true.
That's part of my rationale on that front.
So if you were going to start them off, well, either or really, in pots or in the ground, the danger zone that I find for dahlias is when those first shoots just emerge and they get eaten away, and then they come back and then they get eaten off again. So what do you do to deter that?
I've mulched with straw or soil over the winter, and unfortunately that does then provide an absolute wonderful home for slugs getting stuck in under there. I like to use nematodes, but by the time the soil is warmed up enough to use the nematodes, the damage is already done on the dahlias if the new growth's coming. It's a tricky one. I have found that actually, even though they may get going on the young shoots initially, once the straw and mulch comes off, then they start growing away strong enough that actually they can sort of fight off the worst of it. I've tried wool pellets. I don't like using slug pellets. Eggshells, I'll sprinkle stuff and try and deter them as much as possible.
Yeah,
and then use nematodes when the ground's warm enough. So, but yeah, it's a problem.
It is, yeah, it definitely is. So you've mentioned the Honker Fragile. And you said that you would look through the catalogues. What varieties were you tempted by this year?
Well, I think there looks like a lovely one called Creme de Cognac, which is one of Sarah Raven's one. And I've also finally found Twining's After Eight, which I first saw in Merriman's garden, I think it was, which looks lovely. So I'm going to give that one a go.
Right.
The one that did best for me before was called Down and Royal. It was one of the ball pom-pom ones, which I think are just so amazingly structural. They remind me of those old crepe Christmas decorations when we were kids.
Yeah.
And, they're such stunning things to look at.
They are.
So I'll probably have to go back to one of those as well.
They're good cut flowers as well, aren't they, those?
Yeah.
Do you stake your dahlias, or does it depend?
I do, if I remember in time. I think they're from Harrod Horticultural, the grow through rings.
Okay.
So long as you get to them before the growth gets too high, you can get the ring in place and they'll grow up through that, cover it all up and you won't see it. And it stops me poking my eye out on stakes, which is what I'm rather prone to do otherwise. But but if I don't get there in time, I leave them to their own devices. And mostly they do okay.
Good.
But it's quite sheltered down there, to be fair.
They don't suit being blown all over the place, do they, at all? No. And also the big top-heavy ones will break quite readily.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask is, do you deadhead? And if so, how do you go about it? Where do you make the cut?
Yes, I do deadhead, because otherwise they get incredibly sort of top heavy and wet and horrible and everything. I mean, I cut a lot for the house and that's mainly it. And then if there's stuff that's not quite good enough to come into the house, I'll just go down to a good bud. The thing is, if you deadhead too high, you're just creating lots of little growth at the top and the flowers will weigh it all down. So I do go down quite far when I deadhead.
So you're making the cut where the leaf
where it joins the
stem.
leaf, but probably go down by a third of the main the stem. You're supposed to leave only the 5 strongest shoots coming out of the tuber. I can't do that.
No, I can't do that.
So I always leave too many. So there's lots of sort of thinner stems, but
but more of them.
So they can take a bit of harder cutting.
Well, I look forward to seeing the pictures on Twitter, hopefully. So thank you, Emma, for your dahlia advice.
Oh, pleasure.
And that was Emma Page talking to me about her dahlia growing routine. Garden designers like Emma are so good at making other people's gardens look lovely, and it's always a privilege to see behind the curtain and hear what they get up to in their own backyards. I'm sure Emma's words of wisdom will be helpful to you if you're growing dahlias this year. And if you want to check out some examples of Emma's beautiful design work, visit her website at www.natureredesigned.co.uk or email her at info@natureredesigned.co.uk. You can also follow her on Twitter, where she is at EPGD181. So I'm very much like Emma in as much as I grow dahlias in my garden for the sheer pleasure of them, and when I can bear it, to cut the occasional flower and bring it into the house. But my next guest is Dave Gillam, and he takes his dahlia growing much more seriously. In fact, he is literally competitive about it. Dave is the chairman of the National Dahlia Society, as well as being the general manager of the Abercorn Garden Centre in Chelmsford. He also runs a YouTube channel. Search for Dave Gillam, that's Gillam, and you'll find loads of useful videos about dahlia growing and about his lifelong passion, which is growing them to show them competitively. I originally wanted to talk to Dave about growing dahlias from seed, but first I couldn't resist finding out a bit more about what it takes to produce a prize-winning specimen and who initially sparked his interest. So where did your love of dahlias come from then? Or presumably, did you have someone in the family that was already into them?
Yeah, my dad.
Oh, right,
my dad grew grew dahlias and chrysanthemums and vegetables and roses and bred rabbit.
So was that what got you started doing the shows and stuff?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah. Right.
I've stuck with dahlias and daffodils.
And daffs. Blimey.
Did a few daffs, yeah. I've got some shows coming up soon. So that's always fun.
Yeah, I bet it is. I don't envy you though, because it's like showing cars, I imagine, or anything like that. It's just got to be absolutely spot on at that moment in time, and it's...
Yeah, that's the good thing with dahlias, I think. For me, it's the fact they're so complex in themselves. A fully double bloom might have up to 300 petals in it. Well, Mother Nature says they're never going to be all in the right place. So you strive for perfection, but you know you'll never achieve it. You just got to get as close to it as possible. And that means that every year is a different year that gives you a new challenge, rather than saying, yep, I've done it, I've perfected it. You never get there, so you keep on trying.
Does that level of perfection depend on the type of dahlia, the parents, or the weather? Or?
The show varieties are known show varieties. They're established varieties. They've got to have the potential in the variety to achieve show standards. Most will do that fairly naturally. It's only that tiny bit of extra difference that means a lot of work, effort, and the skill of it is what gives you that extra little bit. The flower, you plant it and it'll flower and it'll conform to shows. It's just getting it a little bit bigger or a bit deeper or a tiny bit more refined and trying to match a number of flowers that are identical to each other to put in the same vase at the time you want them.
Okay.
That's where it gets a little bit harder.
Well, I might have to get your advice, because we always enter our local village show and we always do really badly, which is a bit of an embarrassment for a gardener.
It's varieties probably is the key there. If you don't grow the show varieties like the ones that are in my sort of videos and that, they're the core show varieties in each of the sections.
Right.
If you start with them, you'll never go wrong. If you get them off a packet off the shelf and try it, then you're probably... I could get one of the Dutch packets right to the extent it could be grown, and it would still never win a prize against a show variety because it hasn't got the uniformity or the qualities that are looked for. It's always starting on the back foot.
Oh, well, I've got you completely off topic, but it's fascinating. So I'm going to just dive into my already prearranged questions. Mm-hmm. So the first one that I've got is, there's a lot of mystery for me around growing dahlias from seed. And I think probably a lot of people find that they're not entirely sure about the sowing of them, the growing, and then what to do with them at the end of the season. Yeah. So is it possible to grow all dahlia varieties from seed?
No. If it's a variety... So it's a named variety, it will never come true to type from seed because they're cultivars rather than species. So because they're hybrids don't come true to form. Species will from seed, but they're quite uncommon.
So when you go to your local garden centre and you buy a packet of mixed dahlias, you're just seed. Getting a mixed bunch really there. You don't know what it's going to come up.
Yes.
Okay.
They can only operate, so if you buy a packet of, because it's quite, we sell them, a packet of pom-pom dahlia seeds, it's quite a strong term to say that they will all be pom-pom. You will get some that will have 2 rows of petals, 3 rows, 4 rows, and variances in between. It's only the fact they've come from that parentage that will make them most likely to be of that form type. The colour and the exact number, how it will look, is completely random.
And that's why you get things like Bishop's Children, are they called? And that's literally just the offspring.
So they're single dahlias or orchid dahlia seeds that are taken from pollinated orchid dahlias, and they will generally be of that type, but there'll be different colours and different heights. The foliage might be green, it might be darker.
Yeah.
The variances will always be there, but they'll be of a similar type.
So presuming you've got your seeds, you've got them to germinate, they've sprouted, you've got your baby plants, when would be the best time to actually plant those out into your containers or into the garden? Is there a kind of time of year you need to do that or something you need to avoid?
Well, obviously dahlias aren't frost hardy, right. So one frost and they'll be gone.
Okay.
So it's really a case of sowing March, April, because if you sow much earlier, you'll be trying to keep them indoors for so long, you'll have these big plants and won't know what to do with them. So sow to end of March, early April, with a mind to plant out at the end of May, early June, when really fear of frost has gone. And they will go very quickly, flower, and give you a show from that.
If you were growing from tubers, Is that sort of rule of thumb applicable as well? Start them off March, April?
You start slightly earlier. You probably start them off in February because they will take 3 or 4 weeks to start coming into life and to give you some shoots. Normally, if you're growing from tubers, you'd probably take cuttings from the tuber. It would be the cuttings that you're planting out. If you're just going to replant the tuber, yes, do it later and you can just divide it and plant it. But if you intend to take cuttings, then you can get 20 plants from one tuber by taking cuttings off it.
You've got videos on your YouTube channel about that, haven't you? So if anyone does want to know about doing the cuttings, they can go on to that. What I also think is a bit of a mystery for people. So when they've got their dahlias that they've grown from seed and they've planted them out, they've spent the summer in the garden and they're coming to the end, is it possible to overwinter them like you would a dahlia growing from a tuber?
Yes, they will have a tuber. It might not be as big as one that was a divided tuber or a tuber originally, but it will have a tuber and that will store and keep over the winter quite easily out the ground. If you're on free draining ground and you just cover the clump, quite often they will stay quite happily in the ground. The only problem with that sometimes is that the tuber will wait for the ground to warm up before it comes into life, so it may start growing and flowering later than if you lifted it and wake it up yourself.
And is that the same if you were to buy the kind of bedding dahlias that you sometimes see in the garden centres? Will they form tubers by the end of the year?
Yes, I mean, most of the bedding ones are seed raised anyway, or they're what are called micro-propped, but they will all form small tubers. The smaller the plant, the smaller the tuber. But it generally means that they're easy to store because you haven't got a big fat stem that was full of water that wants to rot. The bedding ones have a nice little needle-thin stem that dries nicely, and they tend to be more reliable to get through.
So I did ask somebody else that I interviewed about deadheading. And I think, again, that can be a bit of a problem for people. One of the problems is that it's difficult sometimes to tell the difference between what is a spent flower head and a new bud. Is there any guidance on that?
Very easy. A spent flower head will always be pointed and elongated in shape. So it'll look like a plum in shape, where a flower bud will almost be button-shaped. So it'll always be sort of more like a donut than a plum. So the flowers, when they finish, end up pointy. And
where do you cut your dahlias when you deadhead them? How far down do you take it?
Always really down to the next flowering shoot. I mean, I always advocate to, although some won't, but I always advocate to disbud the dahlias, just 2 pairs of leaves, so the buds either side and the next pair, even for garden, because it just means that the stem will hold the flower better. So when the wind comes and the rain comes and they all end up looking at the floor, it's because the stems are weaker, and that way you get a natural flush of flowers. And when you're deadheading, you naturally cut down to really a stem that's already going to come into flower to replace the one you've taken off, because it's only a sort of 10-day, 2-week behind the very top. Others will just let them go and just keep pinching them out, but you will, in the end, after the first flush of flowers, get some very thin stems, and the flowers will end up being quite weak. And if you want to put them in the vase indoors, they want to stand up.
Right. So you have to be cruel to be kind.
A little bit, yeah. No one likes doing it.
No, I don't like doing it at all. Mine go all over the show because I can't bear to take any part of them off.
And you'll probably get more colour because the flowers will be a lot stronger, larger. They'll hold themselves up above the foliage.
Okay.
And so for cutting and using them in the house and even weather resistance in the garden, they'd be better for it. I always advise people to have 2 plants, side shoot one, don't the other, and see what the difference is.
Okay.
And then it sort of gives you a confidence that you know what's going to come and you haven't just pulled all these flower buds off and wasted them.
Yeah.
Because you can compare them. And once they've done that once, they nearly always go, yep, that's it, I'm disbudding now because I can see the benefit.
What is the point of deadheading? Is it fine to just let the dead flowers stay on, or is there a purpose to going around and removing them?
It's more so that the spent flowers and the flower stems, if the wind blows and there's lots of flowers there, they could sort of hit the blooms that are coming out and cause damage to the future flowers. And a plant puts a lot of energy into producing seed heads. So you're trying to just keep the energy into flowering rather than seed heads. It will encourage more shoots to start growing further down the stem if you can deadhead them rather than just sort of tip growth, which again the plant might end up becoming a little bit top heavy and need more support and be a bit more sort of prone to wind damage and blowing over.
Okay, and my last question for you is, do you have a particular favourite dahlia? And if so, why?
I like all dahlias, but probably if I had to pin it down to one, then it would be one called Kenora Valentine.
Okay.
It's classed as a giant decorative, so for me, I grow it, and it's probably somewhere between 10 and 12 inches in all directions. Bright red, lovely, deep, bright red. So reliable. You just plant it, it grows, it flowers. It's got a nice dark reddish foliage to it, and one that's got an award of garden merit as well. So it's a sort of tried and tested garden flower, but it also is probably the best giant decorative for show work we've got as well. So it's a real all-rounder.
And is that easy to get hold of? Do you know where you can source that, or is it difficult?
Generally, any specialist dahlia nursery, one I would recommend would be Halls of Heaven. It's been going over 100 years as a family business. It knows what it's doing, and the stock is very good, and the service is excellent. And you can get all the show varieties.
Well, that's brilliant. If anybody wanted to contact you, obviously your YouTube channel is Dave Gillam. Is there any other way that people would be able to get hold of you?
You can get hold of me and many others of the Society through the Facebook. If you just search the National Dahlia Society on Facebook, we've got a page there which is very active, and we're always looking for questions, and you'll get probably the top 20 growers in the country answering you. And we've got the National Dahlia Society website, which is www.dahlia-nds.co.uk.
Well, a big thank you to Emma and Dave for agreeing to be part of the Roots and All first ever episode, and for sharing their love of dahlias with me. I did record another interview for this episode with Richard Ramsey of Withy Pits Dahlias, where we talked about growing them specifically as cut flowers. We conducted the interview via mobile phone, and sadly the quality was poor, and I took the decision not to include it. However, I've transcribed the interview and posted it on the Roots and All website, and I'm hoping that I can talk to Richard again in person in the future. In the meantime, do check out his website, which is www.withypits, that's WITHYPITTS-dahlias.co.uk, where he sells a huge range of dahlia seedlings, plants and tubers, and also cut flowers. So if you're interested in floristry or are thinking of ordering flowers for a big event such as a wedding, the Withy Pits website is well worth a look. So thank you for listening to my first ever episode, and join me again for the next one, where I'll be talking about how to successfully hire a gardener.
For more information, visit the Roots and All website at rootsandall.co.uk. To download more episodes, visit iTunes, your favourite podcast provider, or get them direct from our website.